Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is my 2020 Ford Mustang GT. I thought to myself, there's literally no other car that I'd rather have for under $50,000 or any other car that's arguably better than a Mustang GT for under $50,000. And I'm talking about brand new. I'm not talking about a used car, because used car values can be anywhere from high to low to whatever. Right now, used car values are obviously high, and there's some animals making some noise over there in that zoo, but try to ignore that in the background. Anyway, I want to give you guys a few reasons why the Mustang GT is the best car under $50,000 or under $40,000. Like this one was under 40, but if you get a premium with some options, it might be it might be around 50. But there's no other car that has this performance for less than 50,000. None that I can think of. This is arguably the fastest in its class against the Camaro SS and Challenger. And then obviously once modded, the 5.0 responds very well to mods as well. So if you're really into performance and straight line speed, the Mustang GT can't get much better. Another thing I want to mention is the looks of this car. I was like, if I were to get a different vehicle than this car, what would I get? Like, if let's just say the Mustang GT didn't exist, or let's say this one got totaled or whatever, what other car would I want that's under 50,000? Because there's really no other car under 50,000 that's like this. Nothing. Because I was thinking of maybe like a BMW M340i, and I really like that car. Gets good gas mileage, has really good engine. It's still not as fast as this car. It doesn't sound as good as this car, and arguably doesn't look as good as this car. But I really like the M340. Has a good transmission. I like BMWs and everything. But with the Ford, some people might argue this, but the reliability on the Ford is pretty good. I mean, the 5.0 is in the F-150s. The 5.0 is a naturally aspirated, good engine, in my opinion. It does make ticking noise, and that can really bother some people. And it does annoy me too, but some don't, some do. You might have to put an oil additive in or whatever. But there's been no cases of, at least no cases that I can recall, of the tick actually meaning that, oh, your engine's gonna explode, or your engine, you know, there's something wrong with your engine. So I'm not too worried about that. But 5.0, what other car can you get a V8 in other than an SS, Camaro, and Challenger? Nothing. No other car you can get a V8 in for this cheap. So that's another thing. I really like the V8 sound. That's part of the reason why I upgraded from an EcoBoost. Obviously for the power too, but I love the V8 sound. And I was thinking like maybe Audi S4, right? Well, that's just like the M340i. It's not as fast as this car. You know, maybe from 0 to 60 it might, you know, be as fast, but it's not as fast as this car. Doesn't sound as good as this car. And then with German brands, you have to deal with the uncertainty of the reliability of it. You don't know if it's going to be, I mean, I guess you don't really know any car, but you don't know if it's going to be reliable or not. But I have a lot more faith in a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 from Ford than, you know, a high-tech German engineered car. And yes, with those cars, you do get a nicer interior. I agree. You do get a nicer interior. You do get better fit and finish and stuff like that. And to some people, that's really high on their list. So that's why those cars exist. And that's why some people might pick a car like that over this. And also the fact that it's more practical as well. So the only other car that I can think of that gets close to this performance for the dollar amount, like I said, other than the 392 and Camaro SS, that'll be a separate video on why I chose a Mustang over those two, because I have some pretty valid reasons for those as well. But the only other car that gets similar is a Toyota Supra, because I think that's around like 55,000, and the 2021s, they have the updated 382 horsepower. Obviously it makes more than that, but the claimed 382 horsepower, that's the only car that can get to this performance for this cheap. And with that car, it's smaller than a Mustang. So if you're a tall person like me, I'm 6'5", and I fit perfectly in this car. There's no problem with fitment at all. It's a smaller car, doesn't have as much trunk space, and again, it doesn't have that nice V8 sound. I agree that the inline sixes sound really good, but it doesn't have that V8 sound. Another car you might consider is maybe like a 430i. That's like a similar price, right? That might be in like the $45,000 range if you like, you know, better fit and finish and stuff like that. But that doesn't sound as good as this car, and it's not even near as fast as this car. And arguably with, you know, the grill and everything, doesn't look as good as this car. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think that there's any other car that's better than the Mustang GT for under 50,000? Because I honestly don't think there is. Like, I don't know what I'd replace this car with. if I could replace the car, and even under 60,000. And look at this interior. Okay, yeah, it might not be as fancy as the BMW and stuff, but I did the Sync 3 upgrade kit because this was the base model. I added some nicer looking pedals, these nice floor mats that I just cleaned, which for some reason look dirty now. And I mean, it's a really nice interior in my opinion, and these seats are super comfortable. And like I said, 6'5", no problem fitting in headroom or legroom at all. Obviously, the back seat is more for storage, which is what most people that have a Mustang use it as. But let's go ahead and hop, or actually before we hop inside, let's go ahead and check out the engine, because that's one of the highlights of why the Mustang GT is such a good car, is the engine. And keep in mind, like, I'm giving you guys a high like price point. 50,000 is a high price point. 60,000 is a high price point. This car I got for 32,000, obviously with discounts and stuff like that. But this car I got brand new for 32,000, so it can be even cheaper than that. So right here we have the 5-liter V8. I took off my hood struts because it was like rubbing at the top, but I might put them back on, and it was making my hood like make rattling noises. But anyway, that's apart from the point. But right here we have the 5-liter V8, 460 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque when it's stock. I took off the engine cover because I'm not a fan of the way the engine cover looks. And with it like this, it looks a lot more interesting. You can see a lot more of the mechanical side of it than having that big plastic cover. But this car, I do have it tuned. I have a 91 tune in it right now. And I'd assume that it makes roughly like 475 or maybe 480 since I have an exhaust too. I have a Borla S-type exhaust. So I'll just say, hopefully I'm not overestimating or underestimating, but I'll say that this car with the tune makes 480 horsepower now instead of the 460. So 480 with just a simple tune. Transmission is really strong, has a 10R80. Like I was comparing against like the BMWs and stuff, their transmission, although it is a really smooth transmission, it's not rated for as high of a torque rating as this transmission is. This is rated for 800 Newton meters. The BMWs is like 55 or 550 or something Newton meters. So really strong transmission, really strong engine. And if you want to go crazy power wise, you can just throw a supercharger on this and make, you know, over 700 horsepower. It's all up to what you want to do. So there's endless potential with this engine. And another thing, for being a V8, it gets decent gas mileage. I do mostly highway driving, but I usually get around 21, like around 21-ish miles per gallon. It probably would be better if I drove slower and if I didn't get on throttle so often. But before we end this video, I want to go on a quick cruise, share some finishing thoughts, and another reason why this car is so good for under 50,000. Let's go ahead and start it up. Sounds really good, at least in my opinion. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree that a V8 sounds really good. Let's go ahead and rev it up a little bit. Obviously that's helped by my aftermarket exhaust, but wow. I just can't think of anything that gives you this good of a car for under the price. If you're into sports cars, that is. Now, if you want like a minivan or something, that's different. But I'm talking about for the guys that want a sports car. But let's go ahead and start cruising here. Oh yeah. Another thing is that there's so much aftermarket support with Mustangs. You can get pretty much anything for Mustangs. Like I said, there's like a whole bunch of different supercharger kits you can get. There's a bunch of stuff you can do to the interior, new wheels and tires like what I did. There's so much you can do with this car, it's crazy. So like if you're one of those guys that really likes modifying their cars, Mustang is a great platform. And being rear wheel drive, it's fun to drive. You can do donuts or whatever you want to do. Let's go ahead and step on a little bit around this corner. Let me slip it into S here. Boop. Oh my God. Did you guys hear the transmission? It shifted so fast. Jeez. And that's another thing. When you add an exhaust to a 5.0, unless you go ridiculous and get like a long tube headers, catless long tube headers, and Corsa Extreme, then it sounds extremely raspy and ridiculous, and I honestly really hate that sound. But if you get just a regular good exhaust sound with your 5.0, it makes it sound so much better. And even in stock form, it sounds good. So like I said, with the competitor, let's say a Toyota Supra, you get an exhaust on that, yeah, it sounds good. I mean, sound is all opinion based anyway, but it's definitely not going to sound like a naturally aspirated V8. That's for sure. Okay, we're going to turn off onto the street and going to have to do a little acceleration because some cars coming, so we'll see what we can do here. All right, here we go.
Please report it ahead.
Oh my God, so loud. Oh, police reported ahead. That's a good thing that we have Waze up. I mean, I didn't go over the speed limit, I just accelerated fast. If you guys can't tell, I mean, the driving experience of Mustangs is fantastic. You have nice big brakes in the front so you can stop on a dime. And you also have that Mustang heritage. Like I said, the Toyota Supra, I mean, I guess it does have heritage too. I mean, that's true. But, I mean, the Mustang is like a classic American sports car. And that's another thing, if you want to buy an American car, support an American company, Ford, right? But anyway, I think I about made my point clear why the Mustang is so good for under 50,000. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your thoughts on what new car do you think is around 50,000, or it can even be in the 60s. What car do you think is better than a Mustang GT, or a better bang for your buck, or just, you know, just let me know, what do you guys think? What kind of cars do you think is better than a Mustang GT for this price point? But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.